Everybody's wrong about piracy. Let's start with the publishers. They have a tendency to report piracy losses in this really overblown way by getting a number of people they think are running pirated copies, multiplying it by $60 and saying, that's how much money we've lost. There are obviously a lot of things wrong with that. It assumes that every single copy they're identifying is a copy they would have sold at full price. Both of those things are wrong. Often it's extrapolating from partial data, and the basis of the math behind that extrapolation is questionable at best. It's like when you see the police report the street value of the drugs they seized in a raid. They're doing a lot of multiplication that exaggerates and expands the number well beyond what is realistic. But the people who say that piracy has no impact on the video game business are equally coming from a completely ludicrous place. Some of the copies lost to piracy would have been purchased if there was no other option. Some of the copies lost to piracy are lost sales. But it's very difficult to show this. If you're sitting there right now saying, well, it's okay that I pirated this game because I never would have bought it, I want you to ask yourself this question. If you never would have purchased this game, why was it so important that you pirated? Why did you need to play it at all? If you are pirating a game as a form of boycott or a form of protest, that's not doing what you think it's doing. Yes, you're denying the publisher the sale price of the game, but assuming that they are detecting that you exist at all, they still see you as a potential player, a potential customer. So rather than really serving as a boycott, you're undermining that. And instead, you're just encouraging that publisher to look for harsher and more restrictive copy protection to try to force you to buy the game. If you really want to boycott a company, then boycott the company. Don't buy the game, but don't play the game either. It's the only way you can really be sure that you're not accidentally signaling that you would buy the game if only they just got their copy protection strong enough. If you are pirating a game because the game isn't available in your country, then that's a hard one. Chances are you probably could import it, which would be better, but in that case, the existence of the pirated copies in your jurisdiction is kind of a double-edged sword. Some countries, like Russia, are these tantalizing markets that seem like they're worth doing, but piracy is so rampant that often games don't enter into those markets and then end up being pirated in those markets, which makes the market look bad, which means games don't enter it, which means they get pirated. So you can see it kind of can turn into this trap where the high levels of piracy in a country can actually prevent games from entering into that country in the first place because they're seen as basically lost causes. That being said, it also signals that the country has potential. If you're pirating something because it's simply not available anymore, it's been removed from the store, it's just not accessible, it's hard for me to argue against that. You're not really taking money out of someone's hand because they were choosing no longer to even sell it to you. I guess this is just a roundabout, convoluted way of saying, in the video game industry, we like to talk about piracy in blacks and whites, and I think in some cases, it's just a lot more gray. I know you have a justification as to why your particular piracy is okay. I'm asking you to stop for a moment, double check that that's not just an excuse, and that your real reason for piracy isn't something else. Remember that video games cost money to make, and if there's no money coming in, the games will stop being made. I'm sure this one's going to get some angry comments from people who don't believe anything electronic can ever be owned by anyone. I guess go ahead down in the comments. If you enjoyed this, please give this video a like. I'll see you again soon. Thank you.